Naomi back with IGN's E3 live show, streaming at you live on e3.ign.com. The original Arkham Asylum was amazing because it was a superhero game that didn't suck. It's now time to see how the sequel is coming along. Take it away, Hill.
Thanks, Naomi. So we're here today to check out one of the most anticipated games of the year, Batman Arkham City. And we're going to be checking out playing as Catwoman and what that means, sort of playing as Batman and the size and the scope of Arkham City, which is considerably bigger than what you saw in Arkham Asylum, and then maybe even we'll get to see what the Riddler's up to in the city itself. I am joined by Sefton Hill, who is the game director from Rocksteady. So Sefton, maybe you could tell us a little bit more about why you guys decided to have Catwoman as a playable character in the game.
I mean, bringing Catwoman into the game really felt like an exciting thing to do. You know, we look at when we're trying to come up with the ideas, we're thinking what excites us. You know, what do we really want to do? And Catwoman felt like something that was really interesting because she's so different to Batman. She has her own objectives. She's kind of this ambiguous character. You never know what she wants to do. Is she good? Is she bad? And we felt that was a really interesting and fascinating relationship to play on. And also to give the player a little chance to kind of indulge their wild side a little bit, to do the things that kind of Batman's moral fortitude wouldn't let him do. We just felt that those two things were a really nice counterbalance to each other with her.
Great, well let's jump in and see what it's like playing as Catwoman. Now, I think when people first hear the idea of like, oh, you're going to be Catwoman in a Batman game, that it's going to, you know, she's going to fight like Batman, she's going to have all his moves, move like him, but that's not true at all, right?
No, I mean, we started developing Catwoman right from the start of the game as well, and we developed her to complement Batman. She still does use the free flow system, but she has all her own moves, all her own animations, she has all her own abilities and skills, she has her own gadgets, so she has bowlers, she has her own whip, you know, a whip, and she can use that to trip people and disarm them. So, you know, we just wanted to create a character who really contrasted with Batman as well. So we can kind of see in this intro quite a nice little cameo of Catwoman as she turns up. You've got a load of Two-Face thugs who are protecting this safe. They're waiting for Two-Face to turn up, and Catwoman is going to get in there first and steal the goods basically that are in this vault, Two-Face's vault.
And one thing we can see for sure is that Catwoman seems to move a lot faster than the Dark Knight does.
Yeah, she's fast, she's nimble, she's still powerful though. I mean, she's still really dangerous, you know, she can still take people down. So, you know, it's a great combination to have as her. That's what feels quite different with her. You can see her moves are very fluid still. She has some great, you can see, great takedown moves as well that she can do. And still pretty painful as well at the same time. So,
it's time to get what I came for out of that.
And now can you tell us a little bit about what Catwoman is doing even in Arkham City?
So Catwoman has been arrested. She's been captured by Hugo Strange. She was captured at the same time as Two-Face. And basically there's like a running feud between her and Two-Face. So this is kind of part of that feud that you're sort of playing. This is the beginning of the game, but you're sort of coming into the middle of that feud. And as you can see here, Two-Face has actually captured Catwoman. So she's trying to steal this memory stick from Two-Face, but Two-Face has jumped in and actually captured Catwoman. So what she's doing there basically, she got arrested at the same time Hugo Strange chucked her and Two-Face in. And basically they were the two last super criminals to be rounded up.
I took an encryption key from
So 24 hours later,
we're
going to pick up the game and basically pick up the story. And this is basically Batman at the start. He's just landed on top of the Ace Chemicals building inside of Arkham City. And he's got this encryption key. He's going to hack into Tiger broadcasts. So Tiger are basically Hugo Strange's military army that he's using to patrol Arkham City and basically keep everyone in. He doesn't really care what people are doing inside, that's of no interest to him whatsoever. He just wants to make sure no one gets out, no one escapes. So he's thrown everyone in there from Arkham Island, everyone in there from Blackgate, and it's just kind of this melting pot of pure super criminality. It's kind of a worst case scenario for Batman.
Or also his biggest fantasy, if you want to think about it that way,
yeah,
right?
that is exactly. For Hugo Strange himself, you know, that's the other thing that Batman's got to deal with. But I think that was one of the things that was really fascinating about the setup for us, is that all these different supervillains that are in the game, they've all got their own goal, their own objective. So Hugo Strange, what does he want? That's totally different from what Joker wants, that's totally different from what Penguin wants, that's totally different from what Zaz wants, and totally different from what Riddler wants. And the only thing that stands in the way of what all of these people want is Batman, basically. That's your job.
Gotcha. And I mean, I think one of the things that was really cool is that you guys aren't doing something where in most games, most sequels, you kind of take all the powers and all the gadgets that Batman has gotten and then just strip them all away from the beginning. He's got all his tools basically straight out of Arkham Asylum, right?
Yeah, you've got a lot of the tools that you started with in the first game. So you've got the batarangs, the remote batarangs, the bat claw, explosive gel, cryptographic sequencer. You're going to start with all those gadgets. And not only are you going to start with all those gadgets, but we're beefing those gadgets up as well. So basically, a lot of the things that you'd used before, you can now use in free flow. So you can use the back claw in free flow as well. Like that, it's just demonstrates right there for a back claw slam. You can use explosive gel. You can use all these moves in free flow.
And we should explain that one guy is glowing green and you've saved him for last. Can you explain why?
Yeah, so basically this guy's working for Riddler, as Batman says there. So what Batman's done is he's got a record of all of Riddler's known informants. And the way Riddler works in Arkham City is different to the other people. He's not about this overt show of force, he's about being the smartest person in Arkham City. So he's basically paying people who are working for all the other supervillains to remain one step ahead of them, and also to try and defeat Batman. So he's been paying all of these people to place trophies around, set up these elaborate traps for Batman to take on. So basically what you're going to see is what Batman's doing is interrogating these people to find out the locations of all the Riddler trophies that are there.
Gotcha. And how many Riddler trophies are there in the game, roughly?
I mean, there are a ton of Riddler trophies. There are over 400 challenges for Batman to do. So that's a load. But one of the things we were really wanting to do with the Riddler trophies is that we haven't just put stuff in there to collect. It's not like collect 20 of these things. Every single one of them has its own puzzle attached. And I mean, we spent a long time on this. You know, it was great fun. We got to sort of indulge our own Riddler instincts and create these real puzzles for Batman to solve to get the trophies. So it's not just finding these things down the back of an alleyway. You'll find them, but then there's still a puzzle to solve to get them. So every single one of these things is a little kind of gameplay vignette in and of itself as well.
And I know one of the questions a lot of people have asked when we've said this is sort of a very open world Arkham City is how really open is this? Like, can you go to and kind of play missions from any of the different territories when you want?
Yeah, I mean, basically you'll start the game and you'll be able to go to the whole of Arkham City. You'll be able to move around the different zones. And you'll see from the different zones that different supervillains have taken over different areas. So Joker's got his turf. As you can see here, Two-Face is just trying to establish himself in Arkham City. So he's taken the courthouse and he's divided it into two, you know, as you can see, the good and the bad side. And you can go around any of these different areas right from the start. I mean, our goal was never to make the biggest open world game ever. It was to create the most detail. So to create a really rich environment, fill it full of detail. So that's what people are going to get to explore. They're going to get to see how the Batman DNA runs through every building that you can find in there as well.
Great, and I think one of the things we're probably going to see, this is your grisly look at Two-Face. I'd say a little bit like the Nolan Two-Face with kind of the very destroyed face, yes?
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to do something, you know, as we're bringing them into our universe, something that feels consistent with all the other characters that you see in the universe. So it's kind of normalising them to the Arkhamverse, making them feel like they belong in that world. And this was our vision for it. You know, we think he feels really gritty, but he still feels real, you know?
Absolutely. And so Batman's going to be put in a situation here where there are a lot of enemies on multiple levels here, and I would assume that using detective mode is probably going to be the safest bet for him?
Yeah, I mean, detective mode is still a great tool for Batman and something that, you know, we wanted you to feel like Batman. So we don't want to take away his abilities. You've still got detective mode. It's still super powerful for tracking people down. We kind of focused the way detective mode works. So Jez goes to detective mode here. You can see 48 enemies in this room. That's loads more than we ever had in the first game anywhere. If he looks up above, you'll see the armed enemy. So basically that's the guy he wants to identify and take out first. But the other thing you'll notice with detective mode is that basically it focuses on enemies. It's used for hunting down enemies. It's not used for navigating around. You can't see the world as well, but you can see the enemies really well. So it's just kind of getting that balance in there between the different uses of detective mode.
And one thing that we didn't see when we were playing Catwoman is that she has her own version of detective mode.
Yeah, she has thief vision basically. So what she can do is her thief vision identifies things she can steal. That's what Catwoman's interested in. So she's not interested in all the things that Batman's interested in. She's just interested in what can I get out of for me? You know, what can I do for number one?
Now, for folks who played the first Batman Arkham Asylum, what is different in the combat that they're going to experience when they jump in like a courthouse like this?
Yeah, I mean, there's loads of new stuff in the combat. We've got over twice as many moves, twice as many new animations. We have simultaneous counters, we have projectile counters, we have beatdown. Jez was just tried an aerial attack, so we have an aerial attack as well. So there's loads of different moves you can, and the good thing is that there's an aerial attack, as with the free flow system, you can kind of combo any of these moves together. So basically for the player, that's a backclaw slam. So the great thing is you can kind of combo these moves together as you want. That's the whole kind of beauty of the free flow system, is that we're not asking you to remember how to do tons of different moves. You evaluate the situation and you put these moves together yourself.
Now, is the reason that Two-Face doesn't like Catwoman just because she's trying to steal his stuff, or is there something more to it?
There's a kind of more of a backstory between the two of them, and it kind of goes back to when they were both outside of Arkham City, and they were both kind of trying to set each other up to get caught by Hugo Strange, because they both kind of wanted free run of Gotham City. And it sort of ended up with both of them getting captured. And that is a story that we kind of tell when you play the game, but you'll pick the story up kind of in the middle, and you can follow everything that happens when you play through.
Awesome. Now, when we talk about switching between playing as Batman and Catwoman, how does that actually work?
So basically the way it works is that you play through the story, and at set points in the story you flip between the two, but their stories are kind of intertwined. So you'll play bits of Batman and then you'll flash back and play a bit of Catwoman and see how that sort of told it out in what happened with Batman when you saw that. But I mean, I guess the thing to say as well is that it is still Batman's game, you know, like it is very much still Batman, you know, and we know that people want to play Batman, we want to play as Batman, so the best way to describe Catwoman is she's the special guest star, you know, she's there, I would say, in terms of total play time, looking at about 25 plus hours to take down all the supervillains in Arkham City, and probably about 10% of that is Catwoman, to give you a kind of rough ballpark idea.
And how many of those hours are dedicated to taking out Ratcatcher? He seems like a tough villain.
20 hours to Ratcatcher.
Confirmed here.
No.
And of course, Batman has one villain that everybody knows and loves, the main villain from Arkham Asylum. Can you talk about the Joker and I guess the condition that he was left in after Arkham Asylum?
Yeah, so Joker's back. I mean, I think at the end of the day, we all know when something bad is happening in Gotham, Joker is there somewhere, right? Joker's involved somehow. So
This place is dangerous.
Joker's definitely still here. Joker's definitely still about. Joker's definitely still heavily involved. You would have seen at the end of the first game that Joker took the Titan. He's obviously not well, you've seen from the trailers. But how that plays out, that's kind of the story. We don't really want to give too much of that away. But Joker's in there and he's definitely got an angle. He definitely is setting up Arkham City for something that he wants.
Gotcha. And that's sort of maybe the tale for all of the villains who own a piece of Arkham, is that they have kind of their own goal, and as Batman is trying to not only kind of free each zone of their control, but then also figure out what is the overall plot, like who's kind of the real person pulling the strings. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the thing is that some of them are fighting for control of Arkham City, some are trying to turn Arkham City to their advantage, some people are just using Arkham City to do the things they love to do. So it's a really hard situation for Batman to solve for that, because he can't really send people to prison, they're already in prison. So what can he do to solve these situations? You know, what's the story, what's happening behind the scenes? That's kind of what you'll have to unravel as you play through, and that's what we thought was really interesting.
So I know that, you know, Batman used detective mode there to figure out the trajectory, figure out where the Joker was shooting from, but I was hoping that maybe we could actually get up on the rooftops and actually get a kind of full view of Arkham City and maybe show people something with the Riddler.
Yeah, I mean, one of the cool things, as we were sort of alluding to before, is we have this main story, but at any time you can kind of go off-piste and follow a side mission. So, you know, you want to see a side mission, we can show you a side mission right now. So, Jez, if you want to go show these guys a little bit of Riddler. So as we sort of said before with Riddler, what Riddler's been doing is he's managed to capture these hostages and he's set up these death traps for Batman. He's going to prove that he's smarter than Batman. And the way you have to take on these challenges is first of all by proving your worth. So the first thing to prove your worth is to solve these puzzles. This first puzzle, use the remote Batarang, hit this switch, that opens up the trophy, and you'll see as well with a back claw, He can use the back claw to grab a trophy, which is an all-new feature. So basically, you'll collect these trophies, and when you collect enough trophies, the Riddler is basically going to show you where he's hiding these hostages that he's got.
And these are, I mean, these are real situations. It's no longer where the Riddler's kind of taking a back seat and sort of playing around in Arkham City, Arkham Asylum. He's the real deal now in Arkham City.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, he's one of the biggest villains in the game, and he's kind of hell-bent on revenge. So, you know, this is really serious for Batman, and the stakes that Riddler's got involved are innocent people's lives. So it's not something that Batman can turn his back on. Basically, he's setting Batman these challenges. This is actually a really cool secret that we're going to show you here, exclusive to IGN actually.
Nice.
Is we have here these pressure pads that Riddler has around. You have to kind of wall pounce off of them. So as you can see, Jez, you have to hit 3 in sequence, drop onto the last one. You just got it. And then pick up the trophy, actually beat up these guys who didn't even see Batman dropping behind them. Because obviously as Batman moves, he's totally silent.
And we should mention that while you see Batman kind of going around the city, that all that stuff you see, that is the game, right? This is this is not set dressing. This is
No, this is the game. I mean, this is one of the things we're so excited to bring you guys, is that, you know, we're actually, what you're getting to play is everything you can do. You know, you can explore everywhere. Great double takedown there. You can explore everywhere. You can do anything in the city. So, you know, that's why we were so excited to come to E3, to give people a chance to actually play the game for themselves, because we're really proud of, you know, actually getting to play the game. You know, like, you know, I know we've been showing some hands-off demos. It's one thing to see the hands-off demos, but, you know, games are all about gameplay. And, you know, we're a real gameplay studio. So we're really proud to come here and give people a chance to kind of play the game for the first time.
Cool. And maybe since we're seeing Batman kind of use his glide, can you talk a little bit about the ways that Batman gets around the city?
Oh yeah, so you're seeing this great grapple boost and gliding around Jez is doing, rolling across the rooftops. He can basically flow and combine all those moves together, which is like a really great feature. And basically that allows him, you can actually, when you get really skilled at this, to move across the whole of Arkham City without even touching the ground. I mean, we lose hours to this at work where we're just gliding, challenging each other to fly down back streets. I mean, it's just great fun. So actually where we are here is Riddler's giving you the rough location of this place. Batman's seen it, it's got this question mark sprayed on, it's looking a bit suspicious. It looks like a brick wall, but actually it's not at all, it's a wooden wall that Riddler set up, and he's hidden this challenge for Batman inside. So,
and I would say in Arkham Asylum, Batman probably would have said, oh, there's a wall there, I guess I'm done. But yeah, he's not messing around in Arkham City
either,
no, right?
No, he's really tooled up this time, you know, loads more gadgets, loads more abilities.
So decided to finally show up.
See Riddler.
Let them go, Riddler. They're innocent.
Don't be stupid, Dark Knight.
And so for each of these moments, right, it's that the Riddler has this guy, he's gonna be caught up in this room, and it's basically a series of death traps.
That's what it is basically, but his goal here is to prove that he's smarter than Batman. Right? So the challenge is, he's basically setting it up for Batman. Can you save these people? Can you solve my riddles? Can you solve my challenges? And if you can't, that's why he's forcing Batman to take them on by putting these people in there.
And we should say, these are not going to be easy challenges, right?
No, these are pretty hardcore. I mean, if you're going after these, you have to get a number of trophies to get in here. You know, this is one of the tougher side missions in the game. He's really not messing around, Riddler. So, you know, I think for players, they're really going to enjoy taking these challenges on.
And can we kind of take this as sort of the Riddler stepping up his game as kind of like emblematic of sort of all of the villains that are in Arkham City?
Yeah, for definite. I mean, one of the great things is all of the villains have seen Batman in Arkham Asylum, and they're figuring out, hang on, you know, Batman's got all these great gadgets. He took us down before. What can we do to take him down? So they've all upped their game. They've got new abilities as well. So you can see this really elaborate death trap that Riddler set up. The first thing Jez is going to do, he's going to hack into this system, and that's going to basically deactivate a load of the electrified floor panels. And that's going to allow him to start moving across the room. But as he moves across the room, you'll see that this big spinning blade is moving there as well. He needs to be really careful that he doesn't get crushed by this thing as well. So this is a really challenging room.
But of course, at the same time, he's got a timer that's sort of pushing him forward as well.
Yeah. And then up there, you'll see there's a Batarang switch. So he's going to use the Batarang, hit this switch, boom, create a new path to get across there.
And so this is one of those kind of things where it's not just figuring out one piece of this puzzle, but it's figuring out large, sort of like continuing sets of pieces, and that, you know, you can't really stop, right? You've got to kind of piece it together, figure it out, and then kind of go on the fly and finish this
Yeah, I
game
mean,
off?
yeah, absolutely. In fact, Jesse's in real trouble here. He's got about 2 seconds to get to that safe zone. Oh, he's pulled out the line launcher, which is cheeky. And he's going to use the new double line launcher. So he's flipping in midair and line launching again, which is a great new feature. Great way to get around. Again, you can use that anywhere in the environment.
And I can tell that this doesn't look like it's going to be an easy one to solve. There's a wall, or there's a sort of like a force field on the other side that you can't get through.
Yeah, force field. So we've already used the sequencer, the batarang, the double line launch. So you're really progressing through all the gadgets here. He's got a wall, go to detective mode, and he can see through. There's a switch behind that wall. So, Jez, you got the explosive gel. We had the explosive gel in the first game. Now, as I said, you can use that in combat as well, so there's lots of new uses. Just needs to use another gadget here as well, so the remote control batarang. He's going to bend that batarang around again to hit that switch. Good
control there, well done.
And the batarang now has a brake and a boost on it and a flip 180, and you have to use those abilities again as well, so.
And now you had mentioned before using the line launcher, and this is going to be another section towards the end where you're going to have to use that double line launcher again, right?
So we saw the hostage was hanging from a chain over an electrified floor in a hell of a lot of trouble. So how can Batman possibly save him? He's going to fire the line launcher, he's going to come back and do it. It's a tricky move. You really don't want to risk this and get this wrong. You fly the line launcher, you hold the left trigger, the game goes into slow motion. You line up your target, boom, line launcher again, guard panics, gets grabbed in midair, and boom, you rescue him.
So there it goes, Batman, in fact, smarter than the Riddler. It's proven
Exactly.
in Arkham City.
That is a fact, I can guarantee that.
Thank you so much. Well, that has been a very lengthy look at Batman Arkham City. You got to see what it's like to play as Catwoman, which is a whole different kind of section of the game. You got to see how big the scope of Arkham City is, and most importantly, I think, you got to see what the Riddler's up to and just how much more difficult and challenging Batman Arkham City is going to be. The game is coming out later this year. We're going to kick it back on to Naomi.
Oh man, I'm totally stealing that game. I mean, thanks for the demo, people. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break for lunch, but we'll be back with some big PS3 exclusives, starting with Resistance 3. And remember, if you want to keep up to date with all of IGN's video content, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/IGN. I'll see you guys soon.